So we are live now.
Hey.
Greetings, 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 ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege to welcome you to our World Digital Detox Day panel discussion. I'm David Iversia Ellis, and I will be your moderator. Our focus is all about the overloaded mind, finding calm in a world of notifications. Our focus will be on emotional fatigue from constant connectivity. And our key takeaway is for us to encourage mindful breaks and rituals for inner peace. Today, December 2nd, 2025, we have with us some awesome ladies, and they will be able to introduce themselves just now. So we're going to be taking the introductions in this order. Lady Sue Atkins, our World Digital Detox Ambassador from UK. Heidi Grimwood from Maldives. Christine Clinton, USA Ambassador. And I'm David Iversa Ellis, the Jamaican Ambassador for World Digital Detox Day. As our ladies introduce themselves this morning, they're also gonna tell us one word that comes to mind when they think about the term digital detox. We'll begin with Lady Sue Atkins.
Hello, I'm Sue Atkins. I'm the author of lots of books around parenting, and Navigating the Digital Jungle is my latest book. I'm also the host of Navigating the Digital Jungle podcast. So one word that comes to mind, digital detox, pause, break,
Pause.
peace. Pause, I think. Pause is my key word,
Awesome.
I think.
Up next is our digital detox ambassador from Maldives.
Yeah. So I think breathe. I see a lot of people and they're just not breathing properly. So just breathe.
Breathe. And tell us a little bit about yourself, Lady Grimwood.
So I am the Senior Vice President of Atmosphere Wellness. We're a spa and wellness management company. Our brand is Elena Spa. We have resorts all across the Maldives and India, and currently expanded into the Middle East and Africa as well. So we really focus very much on the wellness element and a concept called Wellness Your Way. So Wellness Your Way is about bringing wellness to everyone rather than just to those kind of hardcore people that are just ready to kind of go in at that higher level. So we want everybody to be able to have different entry levels of wellness. And this is what I love about World Digital Detox Day is we're allowing people to also take it at their own pace, which is what we're doing on the 10th of December. All the guests are, whether it's just a break for an hour or it's 5 hours, it's their way, but at least it's a stepping stone, which I think is really important.
Absolutely lovely. Lady Christine Clinton.
Thank you, Davia. So yes, Christine Clinton, I'm the chair of the Wellness for Children initiative through the Global Wellness Institute, and I'm the founder of Clinton Cancer Care, where we work with people of all ages and stages dealing with a cancer diagnosis, and also Wellness for Life, where we really try to advocate for wellness in everyday life, just the small things become the big things. And I'm particularly interested in children and how we can support them through their journey of discovery of self, because we just see that there's not a lot of, I think, guidance anymore. The parenting is just so challenged now. Parents are working so hard to try to keep things going. I think teachers are overwhelmed, and our kids are as a result of that, the system is failing our children. So I'd love to see how, I know Sue has done tremendous work in this space in really giving parents the tools to understand what to do. I mean, it's a new area. I mean, I didn't have this issue. I have two sons. They're in their late 20s now. We never had this challenge, but parents of today have this challenge. And what do you do? And we know that technology can be helpful for us, but there's no boundaries. And we all need boundaries to flourish and to grow. And so I think when I'm so proud to be part of this panel because I know all of these women here are all involved in wellness in some shape or form. And I think having the discussion is essential because we have to talk about it. Our children are suffering. Teenagers, we're seeing such a big problem with teen mental health. We're seeing these young children that are 5 getting ready to go into what we would have called big school, national school. And they're so ill prepared for that because they've had so much screen time that they don't know how to form relationships. They don't know how to make eye contact. They're not aware, their spatial awareness is not what it should be. So they're on top of other children or they're withdrawn from other children. They can't find that Goldilocks spot, so to speak, where it's right where they should be in that moment in time. So I think these discussions are essential, and I'm thrilled to be a part of the conversation. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you so much. Now, we want to find out from you what is the biggest digital well-being issue you see in your country right now, and what's one realistic solution? Of course, at any point in time, you can drop in some things that you're going to be doing to observe World Digital Detox Day 2025 in your country as well. So let's go. And of course, I want to bring us greetings also in the form of Bob Marley, don't worry about a thing. Every little thing is gonna be all right. Don't worry about a thing because every little thing is gonna be all right. Every little thing is gonna be all right. Before the ladies answer, I just want to say that though I'm in Jamaica, Jamaica is currently facing, the post effects of our Hurricane Melissa. And I must say that some of us Jamaicans were able to digitally detox when there was a power cut, the lights were down, the internet was down, and I think it forced some of us to return to those days when we didn't have light or internet. So, sometimes adverse situations do come with lessons that we can learn and grow from. So, ladies, tell us what's happening in your country. What's the biggest digital well-being issue you see in your country right now, and what's one realistic solution?
Well, there are so many. Where do we start, as Christine alluded to? And I'm quite interested in smartphones and the way we give very young children devices far too soon. We see in restaurants parents handing over the smartphones to keep the kids quiet. They don't know what they're watching. They don't know when they've had enough or if they're on autoplay, if it's on YouTube. They're not talking with each other. They're kind of isolated and passive. We see, buggies and prams with the smartphone click on, so the child is not looking up, looking out at the trees, looking at the birds, talking to mum and dad. They're looking at Peppa Pig or whatever it is. They're not engaging with their parents, they're not bonding with them, they're not talking to them. So I'm quite interested in trying to get some smartphone free early years. Pause before you hand over a device. Have some thoughts about what you're doing. What are the habits your kids are learning from you? Loads of studies have shown that children are learning from us all the time, and that's always been the case. They look at us, listen to us, watch us. So if you're constantly scrolling or you're constantly on your phone or your device, even when they come out of school, you haven't opened up your arms to say, hello, how was your day? You're looking down and you're looking on Snapchat or something, then how does that make your child feel? They feel not important. They don't feel, that you're listening to them. So they get naughty sometimes. So they will take their habits and their lead from you. So just pause to ponder your own digital habits And I'm a great believer in not necessarily having weeks and days and months off and weekends all away from devices. I just talk about little daily digital detoxes, 20 minutes off here, 20 minutes off there, where everyone in the family puts their screens away. When they're eating together, put them away. So you talk and you don't just nag about eating the broccoli and holding the knife and fork properly. You chat. What made you laugh today? You know, how was your day at work? Mums and dads talk as well about their lives, so kids are connected. It's about communication and connection. And another simple place is bedtime. Charge the phones downstairs and the devices. Don't have the blue lights in the bedroom because that fires you up and gets you all, all dopamined up and buzzy. So don't do that. So just two simple places like that, little daily detoxes, they will make a big difference over time, honestly.
Awesome, awesome. Lady Heidi.
Okay, I'm going to go with two because Sue's touched on it a little bit with the kids. My daughter's 17 now, but I was always very strict. She didn't have a phone till she was much older, and I was always very strict. There was an app on her phone that would limit the time, and then it would turn off by 7 o'clock in the evening. It would unlock again the next morning so that she couldn't have access to it. You know, there was restrictions. Phones were banned from my table, my husband and my daughter. I'm like, phones are away. I want to sit together and have dinner together. And like Sue said, I think it's so important. You need to connect, you know. So for the kids, I think it's really important because I come from a nutritional background as well. And I'm telling you that children do not know what food tastes like because I'm at a resort right now. We have 8 resorts in the Maldives. And it's not about what we feed them. Okay, if you want to give them chicken nuggets, that's your prerogative. But my point is, like Sue said, if there is a tablet in front of the kids at the table, which we're here at the resort, I go into the restaurant, every child has a digital device. Not one child is sitting at the table looking at the food and eating the food. So they're not tasting it. So they don't know what food tastes like. They don't know how to chew properly. This is where we get into digestive problems. Children of a very young age now are even getting skin issues. It's all connected because it's gut health. So the gut is connected to the brain. There's so many connections. So like you're saying, when we're starting with young, there's so many more things that impact them on top of what Christine was saying about the social elements, but it's also about how we like setting the system internally as well. So that's one of the things we're doing here for World Digital Detox Day is we're just encouraging the families to eat in the restaurant. We're asking them to just surrender their devices and have lunch or dinner together. And then they just get a little gift from us as a thank you for spending time together, you know. But it's amazing to see that people don't value that time anymore. And it's a very, very important time, you know. So that's the first part. I think I look at the corporate side as well, because I actually did a presentation recently to the Maldivian government, and it was hilarious because I had all different people in there, including IT. And halfway through my talk, everybody but one IT person walked out the room, disgusted with me at the thought of having a digital detox. I said, it's not for everyone. Wellness your way, you know, take it the way you want. But what was really interesting was that the guy was like, no, we can't have our phone away from us. Like, my mother is elderly, I need to be connected. My phone, you know, my work, I have to be connected. Yes, I understand that. But what about certain apps? We don't need to be connected to every app. Maybe you say, look, if something comes through on WhatsApp, I need to prioritize, or Viber, whichever app you use, I need to prioritize if a message comes through. But like I say to my team, like we have leadership meetings, they'll come to the main office. And I say, guys, put your phones in the bag. Your spas will not burn down in 3 hours while we just spend time together. So I make them put their phones away. They're not allowed to have anything in the office. And we spend that time. And then when we have a tea break, they can just connect. And I said, any dramas? Any spas burned down? No. Oh, well done. Yeah, it was not going to happen. So we very much like have this thought process that everything has to be instant. We have to reply instantly. Actually, it's way better, especially in business, if you don't reply instantly to every message, because sometimes it's a little bit heated and we're not thinking enough anymore, you know? So on a corporate side, I really try and get my team again to be mindful about the usage of it. And also I'm very strict about the usage of the apps. Like, are we WhatsApp? managers now, or are we going to manage people, real people? And that's lost. That communication is lost because we're not talking anymore. We're just typing, and someone can be round the corner and I'm typing them a message. No, 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 go speak to them. And actually, then you get your exercise because you've got a few more steps in a day. So when I used to work in hotels in Ireland, I used to go from one end of the hotel to the other to go and see someone in finance. They're like, why don't you just email me or call me? I'm like, I want to see you. I want to say hi. I wanted to keep that human connection because there's so much more benefit to having that human connection for me personally as well as professionally, but for them as well. Then if there's a problem, we've got that connect already. So I think that on a corporate world, it's us as leaders that need to be guiding our team members how to manage their life with that. I make my managers turn their phones off at night time. You don't need to be fully connected, okay? It's absolutely nothing you can do if your manager is calling you in the middle of the night. They have their GMs on the resorts, they have people accessible to them. We're away, we're on different islands or in a different country, but there's going to be someone immediately that can support them. So I think it's on a corporate level, it's setting our teams up for success and making them realize they don't have to be connected. And then I think when it comes to our families and our children, again, it's about getting them to be actually even adults. Just ask the last person if they actually tasted food. Like ask them. We've got couples coming to the Maldives and then they're romantic, they're on a romantic getaway and at the table and they're like this on the phones and I'm like, God, that's true love. There's no connection. Let's reconnect, Dan. So that's my little 2 pence worth
Wonderful.
for you.
That was absolutely amazing. Those are some very interesting perspectives because oftentimes we're not even paying attention to how nutrition
No,
affects
not
us
at all.
and
Yeah.
how we're seeing where all of these notifications are affecting how we eat.
Mhm.
Very interesting.
Mm,
We should probably do some research or survey on that. Maybe in Jamaica, we could link up with some hotels and
Yeah.
see what's over this side as well.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, it would be very awesome if we could look at some common signs of digital burnout. I know that some of us would have mentioned some digital habits that we don't need right now. Lady Clinton.
Yes. What habits we don't need right now? Well, um, my work in cancer care, I often get to see, in particular, children who are going through cancer treatment. And I'm always struck by how difficult it is because, again, in childhood cancers, they generally tend to be blood cancers, leukemia, lymphoma, things like that. And so treatment is over a long period of time, could be 2 years in treatment. So there's a lot of chemotherapy given. So parents are in the hospital wards a lot. And when I try to do the education component of this, we see the parents are on their phone and the children are on their phone or a tablet. And there's no discussion or connection either. So when I look at this through the lens of what you said in wellness resorts, in schools, at home, and even in hospitals where we're supposed to be getting well, there's no wellness happening whatsoever. And I really would love to see where we had an art cart in the room where the child is going to do something, analog wellness that we talked about before. So find something that they can do that's easy and that's enjoyable, that's not the TV that's on in the corner all the time. That's one pet peeve I have in hospitals. The TV's on all the time. And yes, there's no boundaries. And again, I know the child is unwell, but there's this, we still can give them parameters for things that will help them to be well, including, like Heidi talked about with food. The hospital food is one thing. We can't really change much about that, but understanding the gut-brain axis and recognizing that all disease processes begin in the gut, and how do we help to support that? So again, if your mind is distracted and you're eating mindlessly, so when we talk about training our young people to eat mindfully. We know in hospital
Yeah.
that they're eating mindlessly. And so how do we change that? What do we do? And the education is really 3 levels, because we need to educate the hospital directors that we need to have a wellness program for hospitals, and we need to teach the parents that they can be engaged in their child's wellness. I did simple foot and hand massages. I taught the parents how to do that. And the children, their faces lit up. Nothing in their hands, right? They weren't holding a device, and their moms or dads were massaging their little hands and their little feet. And it was such an
Wonderful.
interesting dynamic how it changed the atmosphere in the room immediately, but also how it changed the child. And so,
Yeah.
we have enough anecdotal information here to warrant doing a study. And actually,
Mm.
the cat's out of the bag now, but we are going to do a study next year for different things, but in particular for neurodivergent children who,
Yeah.
there's a mixed um, discussion about this, in that there's a perception that they do not like to be touched or massaged. And in fact, we know it's not true. It's the type of touch and the type of massage that's offered. So compression is very well received, not effleurage strokes, or strokes that could be perceived as ticklish or annoying, but compression is really good. So, petrissage and compression strokes are much better received. And the children are much calmer. And particularly if they have a role in this themselves, like they choose the product that might be used for them, they get to smell it, they get to maybe there's a wonderful company I've been working with in Ireland that makes a putty, that again, for children who need to have something in their hands, it's aromatherapy blended and safe. So if it was to go in their mouth, it's not going to cause any problems. But suffice it to say, there's lots of things we can have the children do with their hands that do not involve holding a phone or a tablet in any way. And we know that it helps them to form other connections in their brain. So it helps them to feel better. So that's what I'd love to see, that we have these discussions that, it's the child, the parent, the teacher in a school situation. And in a hospital situation, it's the nurse, the teacher, the nurse, the parent, and the child. And that together, this triangle of wellness, that we can really encourage more wellness activities to happen, even in adversity. Even in a situation that is not a wellness environment per se, we can still have wellness activities happening. And so that's one of the things we're going to focus on for 2026 as Wellness for Children. We're
Brilliant.
going to bring some more wellness activities into places that are not considered well. So there you go.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Sounds fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And we saw different pointers and examples coming out there. Now, tell me something, ladies. Let us get a little bit more intimate with the topic. If you had to prescribe a digital detox like a doctor, what medication would you give? Would it be airplane mode, a walk outside, throw the phone in the freezer therapy? What
Would be nature
medication?
for me. It would be nature. Get outside, go for a walk, climb a tree, look for mini beasts or bugs, you call them in the state. You know, just get out in the fresh air, run, jump, ride a bike. Doesn't matter how old you are. It's so good for you to be breathing deeply, breathing fresh air, being active. I mean, we have 3 dogs, so I walk every day. And I don't bring my device out deliberately. Sometimes you think, oh, aren't you? Somebody said to me, aren't you worried you're not safe? Well, I've been walking my dogs for donkey's years, and you don't go into dangerous places. I'm going into the woods. Of course, you're mindful when you're walking if you're on your own. Sometimes, it's darker or something. But my anecdote to some of this screen stuff is nature, and just get out there, breathing fresh air, and get out there regularly as well. You just feel so much better when you're out in the sunshine
Yeah.
or the rain, because we're in the UK.
Yes.
All the Maldives, it's raining here too.
Oh,
It's terrible.
Yes, ladies, it's absolutely awesome being here as we talk about the overloaded mind, finding calm in a world of notifications, because we know emotional fatigue from constant connectivity is real. So,
You know,
I'd like,
the other thing I'd really
yes,
like to say is turn your notifications off. Sit
yeah,
down with your kids as well and turn them off. And another simple tip that I recommend to families is turn your screen black and white, or what they call grayscale, because it's not zinging and popping and colourful and marvellous. And you're not being interrupted by the notifications. It doesn't look so exciting because it's in grayscale. That just takes everything down a notch or two. So I just wanted to say that because I get very practical about my tips.
That is very practical, but
yes,
and you're right.
indeed.
It really does need to happen. I think when we look at the younger, mostly the teenagers, so they're very reactive to that whatever's coming in. Like they have to read it.
Mm.
If
Yeah.
Yeah, the
there's
drama.
no way the phone could be there and it pings and they don't pick it up. That just doesn't happen. They have to see what's going on. So it's a great tip is that if their notifications are switched off, then they don't know. And Heidi, like you, I was very particular about no phones at the table and the whole thing about, eating as a family and then also to the point of actually tasting the food. I think if we go back even further, we recognize that now for a lot of families, food gets delivered in a box by the supermarket at 5 o'clock. And so the child has absolutely zero connection to the food. They don't know that it was grown by someone. They don't know that it was harvested. They don't know that it was packaged and sent. So
Mm.
they have absolutely no connection to the food. And we see that playing out in the mental health aspects that we have to deal with, whether it's, again, body image issues because they're not eating properly. Then you see the skin
Yeah.
issues because they're eating processed food. We see all the science now about the processed food and what that does to the body and to the brain. And but we see that playing out as depression and anxiety for our younger people because they're as I said, they're struggling with eating healthy. They're struggling with eating at all in some cases because they've been exposed to all the social media. They think they're supposed to look a certain way, and when they don't fit into that um expectation, then they're struggling with their own self-confidence. But the fact that it can
Mm.
come and be tied back to food, we just aren't making those connections. And we have to think
Because
about
it
the parent
starts,
as
Christine, doesn't it? It starts early. It starts with the toddler
very,
and the
yeah,
fussy eating. Well, get chopping the carrots, get them
yeah,
stirring the salad,
exactly.
get them involved in growing stuff in the garden. Start off
Yeah,
small, but
yeah,
get involved with the process of food, and then you're tasting it, you're enjoying it. It's a social activity because you've put the phones away. And the toddler then as well, you start really young so that they
yeah,
really start to enjoy food and it becomes a social event, like even with my kids now who are far grown and left home. But it started when they were little. And I
yeah,
think you're right. This idea that perhaps it just arrives in a box and they don't know where it was grown and they don't actually engage in it. But cooking and baking and all of that is enjoyable, isn't it? So get them, no matter how old they are, get them in making spaghetti bolognese or something and enjoying it.
yeah, absolutely. I think so.
And I think something that's really
Awesome.
important as well is that the level of happiness as well. You were saying, Christine, about the filters. Like if my daughter wants to take a picture with me, like no filter. If it goes up on social, you and I, there's no filter. You can do whatever filters you want, but with you and me, I'll never filter a picture of myself. This is me. Whatever you do or don't like, it doesn't matter, but this is me. I don't like sometimes when I see a picture, but that's life, isn't it? Nothing's perfect. But I think that where that brings it is the happiness. And
Yeah.
we have to laugh more. And I think this is something that's really important. So, you know, when you are laughing, when you're happy, you're well, and it just brings a different. And again, Christine, you say about the food, and if there's good food going into your system, then your brain functions better, your mind is better, and you're not this depression that's there is there because yes, so many elements. I mean, gosh, you can go down a rabbit hole with this one, but a lot of this depression and anxiety is coming from the fact that everybody's taking life way too seriously. Every time we open the phone, there's something like traumatic happening and there's something to worry about, and is there going to be another war? Is this going to happen? And this anticipation about things that haven't happened yet is getting people in a very stressed space. So I think that there's being present as well is very, very important, and just being happy with being present with however perfect or imperfect. My day has been ridiculous. There's been so many things go wrong with my day, but you know what? I laugh and I go, do you know what? Tomorrow's another day. We'll figure it out, because I can't go to bed angry and upset. How is that going to benefit me? So I think we need to teach people they need to be a little bit lighter with life as well. And I think that helps. So diving into these rabbit holes and what we see on social media and all these news apps and everything is not necessarily healthy either.
You've got to have
That's
time
true.
off that stuff. As an adult, I
Gosh.
myself, I don't watch the news some days because it's so depressing and so divisive. And
Yeah.
it is a dangerous and a mad world. So I just turn it all off sometimes, and I
Yeah.
make sure I don't watch it. So if we're mindful, then the kids, we can pass that kind of vibe on. I think you're right. Smiling, I always say a smile is a curve that puts a lot of things straight. Have a lighter touch to some of it. It's not that you don't care about the deep and meaningful. Have an attitude of gratitude and look what is going well, and be
Yeah.
hopeful. Surround yourself with friends and family that make you feel good. And that's a really good kind of way to start life, isn't it,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, I
Well, you're
agree.
right. And I think to your point, when we talk about starting early, you build that resilience from an early age. And so if you
Yes.
have that resilience, you can say
Yeah.
what you said, which is tomorrow's another day, I'll deal with it tomorrow, because we're able to compartmentalize and we're able to say, this is a problem now, but it doesn't have to be a problem for 24 hours. And we're
Yeah.
seeing that if we could teach that resilience to our little ones from the very beginning, then they are able to draw on that as a resource and know that they can manage what's happening in the moment and then try to figure their way out of it. That everything doesn't have to be a problem, but there's
Yeah.
so much overload. And again, with digital devices, regardless of whether it's a smartphone or a laptop or your iPad, if you're constantly connected, that's part of the
Yeah.
problem. And I know it's cliched, but we have to disconnect to reconnect. And if we don't do that, if we don't switch off our phones and if we don't put guidelines in place, because again, I think to your point, for everybody having this discussion, we know the answer isn't to just completely take away the phones because that's not going to happen. That's not a
Yeah.
realistic solution.
Yeah.
But what is
Yeah.
realistic is that as a parent, you can start with baby steps and say, okay, no phones at the table. If you're a family
Yeah.
that always allowed it, now that's the first step. If it's an older, preteen or teenager, it's like, okay, after homework's done, you can have an hour or whatever. But there has to be something. And I think that's part of the problem. I also think that parents had no idea what they were doing. They thought it was fun. It was cute. They thought it was great that their child was, 10 months old and they knew how to swipe, or 14
Yeah.
months old and
Yes.
they knew how to take a
Yeah.
picture. I was just
Yeah.
at a social
We know
event this.
better now, so there's no point in being guilty and shaming people. You're
No, that's
absolutely right. They thought, oh,
yeah.
they're learning more. They're learning their colours, their numbers. Tech is marvelous. Of course, we all did. We all rushed in and thought it was great. All we're
Yeah.
looking at now is ways to balance it out a bit more, not stop it. I'm very pro tech, but protect them from seeing some things that are really very damaging, like inappropriate content or things
Yeah.
that get them addicted too soon. So, delay, don't deny is what I always say, and say not yet, and then talk and teach them about delay. I mean, even cooking in France, they cook, cookies and cakes in the morning, and they don't eat them till the afternoon because it's called delayed gratification. I wrote an article about that because we're so instant all the time. Even a
Yeah.
simple thing like and wait a few minutes even is a good way of trying to teach kids to delay, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
what you're saying, Christine, is just so good. And same with Heidi. I mean, all of these different aspects. We're not trying to deny kids having tech. We're trying to balance it and make sure that their
Yeah.
mental health, their well-being, their physicality, everything is holistically in a good place and more balance rather than banning it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Balance
Thank
is
you so
key.
much, ladies. I'm really enjoying the discussion because today we are proving where the addiction that's related to digital consumption is not only related to digital consumption, it's also related to a host of many other topics. So what I'd like to know is what's one thing that we're doing this year? What's one thing that we're doing today that will help us to have some form of long-term change 10 years from now? So for example, from where I'm standing in Jamaica, as a health and family life education teacher and master trainer, I have been tweaking my lesson plans. So, for example, I'm not just saying, let's sit down and do guided meditation. I'm not just saying, let's relax. I'm not just saying, let's play. I've been allowing the students to create models of, for example, the breathing, the respiratory system, because sometimes some people and some students feel as if these things are common sense and they're not looking at some of the science behind why guided meditation may or may not work for some people. So what's one thing you're doing in your neck of the woods that will have a long-term effect? Because being able to use our mental health curriculum in Jamaica, these students, when 10 years from now, when they have their kids, they will have known better and they would have been practicing life skills as well, coping with stress and coping with emotions. So over time, it should seep into the culture outside of music and dancing. And you know what? I think post Hurricane Melissa in Jamaica, more people are now opened to have discussions concerning mental and digital health.
I think with the wellness side, like I said before, like we really focus on wellness your way. I think that we need to allow people to find what really resets them. And so, for me, I'm not a meditator. I've been in the industry 30 years. Don't ask me to meditate. I still find it really boring. I think there's only one time I really got into it. That was one session. But other than that, it's just not my thing. But my meditation is like Christine going to Killarney in Ireland and going through the mountains. Do you know what I mean? And going for my treks, going to the Himalayas and going trekking. That's my meditation. So when I'm resetting, that's what I love to do. And that really brings balance and wellness back to me. But I think what we've got to be really mindful of is it when we're saying to people like to reset or to disconnect a little bit, find something you really love, because it's like with exercise. I've been a personal trainer a long time. If you make someone come in and run on the treadmill every day and they hate it, they're not going to have that encouragement to carry on every single day. But if you bring them in and say, oh, I really love Pilates, they will look forward to that session every day and they will be self-motivated. So we're going to be more self-motivated by things that we love to do. Again, it brings us happiness. It gives that good feeling, that nice adrenaline that comes in or whatever it is. But it's all about getting those endorphins going. So we have to get everybody to find their own way, rather than saying to people, you have to meditate or you have to breathe or you have to switch off or whatever. And you'll find that there'll be a really big impact, because then people will share their ways and they may then encourage somebody else to follow on that suit. And I'll give you an example. It's not directly connected to digital, but it'll give you a little understanding. In the Maldives, we have a big plastic problem, as the world does, but I'll just talk about our area here. And I do a lot of work with the sustainable teams here and everything, and we do a lot of plastic pickup. So one of the teams, they were educating us, and I was with the family. My daughter was much younger, and they said, look, even taking one plastic bottle off the beach will make a difference. Imagine if everybody in the world just took one plastic bottle off the beach, the impact. And it stayed with me forever. That was about 15 years ago. And so my daughter was there, and she remembered, and at the time it was when the cafes and everything, that if you took everything off the beach, the cafes would dispose of it for you because there wasn't really any bins around. So she was with a friend one day and she found some things on the beach. She picked them up and she goes, what are you doing? And she goes, there's garbage on the beach. I'm going to go and give it to the local cafe to dispose of. What's the point? It's only like a couple of bottles. And she said, if everyone in the world just made one small change, imagine the difference. And she was about 12 at the time, and I was like, I'm so proud. But it's that whole thing. So let us all just make one small bit of difference. You know, we've even taken it down in our resorts, like with our wellness, we've got immersive programs where you can be with us for weeks and months. But we've also now taken wellness breaks of 20 minutes. Not everybody on vacation wants to spend a full hour doing a wellness session. So now we've got mini wellness breaks of 20 minutes. Let's give people something that's attainable, do you know? So if we can
I
all
love
just make a
that.
small difference,
Yeah.
then
Yeah,
we can,
that's fantastic.
but when we're dictated and saying you have to do and you have to do, even as an
That doesn't,
adult, I'm
no.
like, "Oh, I'm not
Yeah.
following, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and we don't like to be told what to do. And you're
Oh,
absolutely
of
right. It's
course
about
not.
hobbies. You know, my
Yeah.
thing is make tech slightly harder to access and make healthier activities easier. And whatever those healthy activities are for
Yeah.
you, it could be books, puzzles, art supplies, sport, walking, I don't know, reading, anything that you enjoy that is away from a screen, and detox it little and often. You say the daily 20-minute type idea. So you just come off it incrementally, go cold turkey in bite-sized bits, and then you start to feel better and you put that more into your life. But definitely it's about what suits you. It's not never about what suits us. It's about questioning yourself and just think, well, what do I like to do? What is a hobby? And what do, as kids in particular, what do they enjoy doing? And do more of it. And they certainly enjoy playing with you sometimes too.
Yeah. Yeah, we need more of that playtime. We need to get playful as adults
Yes.
sometimes. You know, we're not,
Playful, yes.
yeah, yeah. We're taking life way
Yes,
too
love it.
seriously. Enough of that
Yeah,
Yes.
get playful. That's the new way of thinking about it. Be a bit more
There you go.
playful.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now we are going to be wrapping up and winding down. So, ladies, if there's a special message on your heart that you have not yet shared, now would be the best time to do so, because we're still talking about how we can show up on World Digital Detox Day, the overloaded mind, finding calm in a world of notifications. And our focus is emotional fatigue from constant connectivity. And we have been given many tips and pointers as to how we can take mindful breaks and, get into those rituals for inner peace. So far, the discussion has been very rich. We've mentioned the power of one. Sometimes one digital detox habit can get us going. So, for example, if you have any testimonials to share, you can also share them, because I grew up in a system where one day out of the week, we were not allowed to watch the television or focus on things of the world, so to speak. And I realized that when I had strayed from this practice, I had started to experience burnout. So in Jamaica, we would say, if it's going on good, then don't throw it away, not dash it away. So I also hear us talking about how much we need to customize experiences. And that's very awesome, because one size really does not fit all. In psychology, we're finding where a lot of people, do you know that people who tend to ruminate, sometimes when they're going to talk therapy, it doesn't help, because it's adding, it's complicating the problem, because they're already accustomed to ruminating. So for some people, it might be better for them to use a psychotherapeutic practice or do some form of somatic activity, because the body lodges a lot of pain, and sometimes being on the screens all day mean that we don't really get to move. And so my subject allow us to help the students zone into non-communicable and lifestyle diseases that affect us the more we just sit all day watching television, being on the screen or around the computer. We have the Jamaica Moves program as well, which encourage students to move. We have Jamaica Moves ambassadors. And the nutrition policy is also tied into this program as well. So I have seen where in Jamaica, we have been making some progress wherein we're seeing less sugary drinks in schools. And this is a very big deal because when we just started, a lot of people were thinking that, hey, you can't tell me what to drink. If I want to drink a soda, let me drink my soda. But these days, you have so many students, teachers, and staff. Every minute, may I have a bottle of water? I need a bottle of water to buy. So I'm happy to say that we have been seeing some changes. And in terms of bullying, cyberbullying, we want to also let the world know that we're saying no to cyberbullying. So far, we need to do a lot of work concerning policies related to digital detox and how some of these apps, a lot of the apps, the main features of the apps are not allowing people to relax. In terms of cyberbullying, as well as body copyright, these are some things that we need to zone into as well. Because with the increase in AI and deep fakes, a lot is happening. Have you seen some of these creations? They are almost real. The AI can almost mimic you, and your friends and colleagues might not be able to tell the difference. So off air, there's still a lot we need to do concerning policies and laws related to digital consumption. So, ladies, what great message have you for us today?
I think children spell love Time. So play with them, talk with them, eat with them. So I always talk about ing activities, bike riding, dancing, singing, anything that ends in IG, because you're doing something together and you're not doing it on screens. So just be mindful of what you could do this week. One or two things you could do would get you off a screen, would really be a short-term thing that would make a big difference over time.
ING activities. I like that.
Yeah, great. And I love that children spell love Time. I love that. That's really because it reminds me, I grew up in Ireland and my mother used to say that I mightn't have much to give you, but I'll always give you my time. So that was nice.
That's a gift.
Yeah. It's way more important. I think people don't give it enough credit, actually, of just spending quality time together. And that's really important. But even, you know, like we say, what we've been saying today, that, you know, we want everything to be instant, or we want everything to be like fast moving. You know, take some time now to, you know, cook your meal from scratch. Not just, you know, it's just not all about the kids, by the way. We've got very lazy, inherently, we've got very lazy, you know, because life is so fast. But actually, we made it fast. You can slow life down. So I think we actually need to, even if there's just one day in a week, slow your life down in that week and just see how you can start to do things that are just that I don't have time. Even ironing, I see my girls, they're like, I just put my clothes on and I'm like, they're creased. They're like, I don't have time to iron. I'm like, it would literally take 2 minutes. But it's this mindset that we don't have time to do these things. So even if just one day a week, we actually just slow time down. And I think that that will make a big difference to people. And we realize we actually do have time for ourselves, to look after ourselves, put a face mask on. Don't always have, I mean, gosh, come to the spa, we've got loads of them. But like when we don't have time, just buy a face mask in the shop, put it, or make a homemade one. They're so easy with yogurt and cucumber and everything. Just do a homemade face mask and just have a bit of time. Me and my daughter used to do that kind of thing. You know, we just hang out and put a face mask on and just chat. It's just a bit of fun. And I love that what you were saying, Christine, about the hand massage. It's given me a really good idea, actually, because if you're massaging your hands, you can't hold anything else.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, I really love
Yeah,
it. Like it makes
nice.
sense. So you're slowing down time again. Okay, we'll give each other a little hand massage. And then that's just quality time that
Lovely.
you've just created. Yeah, I think it's absolutely beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it really. We just have to take baby steps. But again, make
Yeah.
mindfulness changes, but
Yeah,
do it small but deliberate, and
yeah,
try to teach it
yeah,
as early as possible. And I know you said earlier on, we don't want to blame the parents, but at the same time,
Mm.
the parents just nobody knew what was going to
Yeah.
happen and the effects that social media would have on us. But now that we do, we have to really try to make things better for families, better for our mental health, our physical health, and our socializing, because that leads into all those other things. And so if we can take baby steps, and so December 10th, for World Digital Detox Day, make a family plan to do at least one thing that's analog, that does not require any technology whatsoever. And if
Yeah.
it's a 5-minute thing, it doesn't matter, but just start somewhere. And put it out as a conversation piece within a family to say, okay, what are you going to do for December
Mm.
10th? And invite the children, whether it's a school, a spa, a wellness center, on your podcast, Sue, but invite people, make it a competition. What are you going to do for December
yeah,
10th that's going to make a difference? And
yeah,
I'm just going to be more conscious myself. December 10th, we've got a program in Ireland we're going to do with the children, and they've been doing all sorts of things around it. But so we'll have something on December 10th. But for me personally, I'm just going to be more conscious and aware of how much I'm on the phone, because it's hard
yeah.
when you're dealing with time differences and you tend to be on the phone first thing in the morning and last thing at night. And I'm going to make a conscious decision not to do that and allow myself some grace and some time to be offline.
Yeah.
That's my contribution anyway.
I
Lovely.
love that.
Do we have anyone else sharing something different that they're going to be doing for World Digital Detox Day 2025?
So for us, we're going to be bringing the guests in the resorts, inviting them to the gym at 10 a.m. and we're going to log their digital usage, and then they're going to tell us the goal that they have for the day. So there's going to be the kids, be the adults. They come and log for the day, and they come back at 6 o'clock, and then we see how they've achieved their day, and then they'll get a gift from us. And then throughout the day, like that in the restaurants, we're going to encourage them to just give up their devices and actually have lunch or dinner together. And then also we've obviously got some wellness activities, and we're just asking them just to put the phones down and just enjoy and feel again. So yeah, we've got lovely lineup for the day. The team are really looking forward to it. And you know what they did last year, and they'll do it again this year, is they go into the offices of into the staff area, and they just say, hey, we want to come and say hi, we want to hang out with you guys. And let's just switch off the computers for half an hour and let's just have a cup of coffee together. And so our teams went around doing that as well. So I thought it was just wonderful that everyone just went in and connected, and people were really grateful. And every photo we saw, everyone was smiling. They were really happy because, again, it was just connecting with people. So yeah, those small things that we can do will just make a big difference to people's day, definitely.
Awesome, awesome. So from my perspective, I sit on a special education committee for Jamaica Teachers Association. We're going to be creating some comic strips for some of our special ed students. Just another way to remind them to be offline. I don't know if it's gonna work out as yet, but I have been asking one of my bosses if they could operate like a day at the office without using the computer. So if they need to write a letter, they would have to do it manually. They would be able to make a phone call, but I will give some updates about that. And of course, we're gonna be doing some karaoke as well because Jamaica, we have a lot of
Nice.
singers in Jamaica, and a non-invasive way of reminding them to be offline.
Yeah.
So I
You
will
know,
update.
the thing I want kids to do is parents to ask their kids, what would you like to do with us today? You know,
Mm.
ask the kids what they'd like to do with you that doesn't require tech. It could be baking, it could be board games, it could be playing football in the garden. I don't know what it is, but we forget to ask the kids, what do you like doing with us? and let's just do a bit of that. Even if we do half an hour, kids will always say, "Oh, I want you to do a bit more." I remember jumping on the trampoline with my kids, actually. There's a great picture of me back in the day jumping a bit higher with them. Just thought that was a hoot. They thought it was funny because we're making memories that last a lifetime. So ask them what they'd like to do and just kind of let your hair down and do it with them.
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
awesome. And at this time, I want to remind us to unplug, to reconnect. In a world that
Yes.
hums with endless light, where screens stay glowing through the night, our minds grow tired, our hearts grow tight, we forget the art of slowing. But when we pause the constant scroll, we find the breath that feeds the soul. A quiet moment makes us whole, a truth worth always knowing. So take a break, reclaim your peace, find calm within your sacred space. The world won't vanish, leave no trace of fear in your reflection. For every time we step away, we choose to live a brighter day. The overloaded mind will say, "Thank you for the connection." A deeper one, a human one, beyond the world of notifications. Ladies and gentlemen, it was awesome being here with you today. We learned a lot. There are some things that we will have to apply on our own, and there's some things that we will have to practice together. But overall, we have stood here brave and strong today, reminding the world to pause on World Digital Detox Day. Yes, the notifications get many, and some of us are becoming very addicted. Talk about attention fragmentation, dopamine cycles, and even panic response triggers. But today we would have provided some solutions. And of course, the work continues. The work continues as we collaborate and partner with our World Digital Detox Day ambassadors. We thank you so much, ladies. You were absolutely
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank
You're
you.
Thank
absolutely awesome.
you. It was wonderful. Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
We look forward to even greater collaborations year after year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
To end by singing, we thank you so much. We thank you so much. We thank you so much, Lady Christine, Heidi, Sue, and Davia, and the whole Digital Detox team. We thank you so much. Ladies, give yourselves a round of applause.